Hello everyone, it's Man93 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Arthur Geis's critical review of The Witcher 3. I'm not going to discuss the beginning of it where it's fairly balanced, but instead I'm going to talk about the stupid gender politics bit right at the end, which all of you want to hear about. I hope you enjoy it. Now here we are, Arthur Geis, here all the Pisces, Arthur Geis. Now, the review starts off pretty well, very balanced, very polygon, The Witcher and its sequel, blah blah blah. When he gets into it, I've not played the game, so I can't judge. But he seems like the fact that they've simplified the combat and they love the world, and he's got a few niggling issues, but apart from that, it's not too bad, if you want a more in-depth look at the bit before, the juicy bits, I suggest V's video. Now, this is where it starts to get really annoying, and here we are, and he starts off with The Witcher 3's expanded cast of characters doesn't preclude more screen time for just about everyone, and CD Projekt has done work to make for more interesting, influential women that feel just a bit more fleshed out than they've been previously. This includes a number of powerful women with complicated motivations and goals of their own. Now, you see, any normal reviewer wouldn't have bothered to mention the female characters or the male characters because really they're irrelevant. The only character that we really would like to talk about is Geralt. And in my opinion, no one should be talking about how the women are empowered or shit in games, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're NPCs. They're there for plot and fighting shit. Besides, this is where the review dips in quality like a plane crashing. That said, the world CD Projekt has created is oppressively misogynist. How so? Have you evidence for this? Well, he carries on. In some ways, the game deals directly with this. Characters acknowledge again and again that it's hard to be a woman there, and it's a place of violence and terror, and that women must work harder to be recognised and respected. Well, it is a medieval fantasy world, and if I recall correctly, in the medieval era, women didn't have it good. Then it kills them over and over. Yeah, never mind the fact that in both Witcher movies you kill so much more men, but who cares about why cisgendered scum, There are several monster types devoted to murdered and wronged women whom Geralt is frequently asked to destroy, and other villainous characters are shown torturing or even butchering women, so just how evil they are. One sequence seemed specifically designed to see how long I could listen to a major female character have her fingernails pulled out before I ended the conversation to attack the individual in question. The way I see it is that you wanted to watch it for a very long time, not that the game wanted you to. You totally could have clicked on the option to kill the son of a bitch that was hurting this woman, but you didn't. That's rather dishonest and disingenuous from you there, Mr. Geis. A later scene shows a villain literally surrounded by the bodies of murdered prostitutes. Well, he is a murderer, and I don't know, have you heard of a person called Jack the Ripper? Yeah, you might want to look him up, In another character who admitted to beating his wife so badly she miscarried is given an opportunity to explain why she had it coming, complete with a sympathetic conversation response option to go with it. Oh, the shock! Horror! You can make Geralt an absolute bastard. Who would have known? I mean, he may not be an entirely blank slate, but you can definitely make him the character that you want him to. It's like a game that I've heard before, isn't it? What's that? Ooh, what's it called? Ooh, Mass Effect? Oh, no, it couldn't possibly be. Renegade and Paragon? Oh, no. The performances all around in this scene are excellent. The presentation among the best, most reined in anywhere in the game. But the message I saw it conveying was abhorrent. What message? What message? There is no message there. This guy's a shitbag. You can either be nice to him or horrible to him. How is that a message? How is this game misogynist? Because it happens to deal with stuff that, is not pretty. It's a dark world. Now this is where it starts to go full Macintosh. I get that the setting of The Witcher 3 is meant to be a dark, dirty fantasy, But in a world that so explicitly goes out of its way to build a believable, distinctive take on the genre, the inclusion of so much violence explicitly directed at women feels like a clear, disconcerting choice. It's not just present, it's frequently a focus. Well, if there's one thing I know about playing The Witcher 2 and a bit of The Witcher 1, is that no, it's not like that at all. In fact, more men die because they're the ones in the armies that Geralt murders relentlessly. In fact, I killed probably more monsters whose gender was not specified, and more men than I did women. I think I've not played The Witcher 3. I can't possibly say whether or not this is true or not, but gathering from this, it's clearly not, because it's such hyperbolic and exaggerated. It's clearly not. I mean, he doesn't get it that it's a dark, dirty fantasy and that people get killed in dark, dirty fantasy. You see what I mean? This is stupid. He doesn't understand. Why have they got someone who doesn't understand the world and the game to review it? And someone who sees sexism everywhere, they're going to see it as a misogynist game. It's not. It's clearly not. When they're not being murdered, women in The Witcher 3 are comically sexualised. Nudity is everywhere. Think of Game of Thrones and HBO. Oh, God. And even when they're dressed, female leads don't have it much better. One character, the subject of an extended series of side quests, and who plays a fairly important role in advancing the story, wears a dress with a neckline so wide, I was pretty sure I was seeing areola every time she turned to the side. No, seriously. There's something wrong with having beautiful women in games. I don't see what's wrong with this. And besides, in Game of Thrones, nudity is not everywhere. There is a lot of sex scenes in it, but nudity is not everywhere, and I will not be surprised if nudity is not everywhere in The Witcher 3. This game is hundreds of hours long, or maybe tens of hours long, you know? Nudity won't be everywhere. Again, it's an exaggeration and hyperbolic. He's not quite lying, but he's certainly trying to push an agenda here, and he's got to exaggerate it to the point of absurdity in order to get his point across, and it's not working. Only idiots would believe him. People who, suffice to say, won't be playing the game. Other moments are truly worthy of eye rolling, as when one male character criticises a woman for going into battle with her shirt hanging open, which is really the snake eating its own tail of video game sexism, in a game where a significant portion of its speaking female characters are similarly and practically exposed. She's going into battle, and as far as I know, what I've seen in The Witcher 2, I completed the game, by the way, the female warriors were pretty much, dressed in a suitable combat gear, and she's been, told to tuck it in so it doesn't get pulled or she doesn't get dragged, How is this emblematic of sexism? So far, the game doesn't appear to be sexist at all. You're just seeing it everywhere and deciding that, oh, it's a sexist game. And it's not, guys. It's not, guys. And he carries on. Even Ciri, a daughter figure for Geralt, and someone revealed to be incredibly powerful in her own right, rocks around with a shirt unbuttoned in the middle, with a pretty clear view of her bra underneath, even when her tie changes to a third-lined collar in colder climates. I've seen girls who dress like that, and there's no problem with that. What's wrong with sexy characters? This guy, he'd swear he comes from the Victorian era. Like, why have women got their tits out? These people are not real. These are video game characters. He can't seem to differentiate between fantasy and reality. And then you think he went full Macintosh at the beginning. He just goes straight over the bridge, onto a jetpack, and jumps the shark. Also, while I did not by any means see every city, burg and outpost on The Witcher 3 world in my 70 plus hours spent within it, I don't recall a single non-white humanoid anywhere, not in Skellige, Novigrad, Oxenfurt or anywhere else. Once I realised this, I couldn't stop looking for any example of a person of colour anywhere. I hate that bloody... you know what? Okay guys, as a mixed race person, can I just say that I hate that term, person of colour. It makes us feel like a bloody... Well, for me, I can't say us. It makes me feel like a statistic. It basically is calling me coloured, okay? It's the left wing's SJW version of coloured, and it's horrible. I don't like it. Well, you know, I was going to say it destroys the individuality of the person, but you know, to people like Anita Sarkeesian and Arthur Geis, there's no such thing as an individual. The individual does not matter. Now, on Twitter, he got called out on this by the developer because he said, "We're Polish, you know, and in our folk tales there are no Asian people, mixed race people, black people. There's not a lot we can do about that." And The Witcher is obviously influenced by German and Polish and Baltic and Scandinavian folklore, so you know you're not going to have, you know, black people, Asian people, mixed race people, etc., and that's perfectly okay. You don't necessarily need so many people of so many different cultures in one thing. You know, that's not a problem for me. It's not a problem for everyone else. You know, I used to think, damn, there's too many such and such of people. It doesn't matter if it's white or blah 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 blah. But now I just think, you know what? If you want to have a film that is entirely black or white or Asian, go ahead. There's nothing racist about that. And he carries on. I mean, this is just, you know, I probably already answered it, but I'll carry on. Once I realised this, I couldn't stop looking for any example, and I never found it, unless you count naked monster women sitting out at the feet of a boss, like a slightly more awkward tribute to Frank Frazetta painting, but maybe they're in there somewhere. Damn, did he just try and say that the only coloured people were monsters? Damn. Guys, that's horrible. Anyway, let's have a look at his verdict. The Witcher 3 subject matter is almost defiantly doubling down on its treatment of women as titillating props for Geralt and the player, even as it tries to flesh out more female leads as its most disappointing aspect. The constant presence weighs down that would otherwise be an excellent bit of closure for Geralt's video game saga, which isn't helped by the control issues that often detract from sequences meant to break up open world monotony. Now, just because women get killed in the game, or in a movie, or in a book, does not make it sexist. The fact that they have so many leads as you speak of should be applauded by you. Just because they dress in a certain way and get killed doesn't make it misogynist. Guys, can you not get that in your head? You're doing the exact same thing that you did to Bayonetta, only I'd say it's not as bad because you were slut shaming her, you know. Just because the character is openly sexual and likes to dress provocatively does not make the game bad, does not detract from the game. No, these are aesthetic things. You may not like that aesthetic, but that doesn't take away from it. This is actually not impartiality. This says nothing to the consumer about if the game's good or not. This is your opinion. Yes, I know a critique is an opinion, but this is the type of personal opinion that does not matter to a consumer. The consumer is not interested. At least a proper gamer consumer is not interested in whether or not the women die or not. You know, that's a plot point in order to make someone either feel sorry for a character or like, yes, that bitch or bastard got killed. But I digress. And he concludes, the result is still a game that often feels like a stunningly confident, competent shot across the bow of the open world genre, folding in an incredibly strong narrative and a good sense of consequence to the decisions that present themselves throughout, presenting a fun bit of combat creativity into a genre that desperately needs it. Without going for it, The Witcher 3 is a great game, though it isn't a classic, and it can carry a somewhat qualified recommendation. It's not a classic because the women don't suit to my needs and what I think a woman should look like and dress like, and women shouldn't die in video games because that, my friends, is misogynist. So he's done the same thing. He started the review so well and balanced, and then he's gone off the deep end, going off and on about sexual politics, which has no need for the game. The game's clearly not about that. But anyway, guys, this has been Charming Man 93. See you later.